Now, when it comes to the work that we do here at Every Mind at Work, our focus is taking the guesswork out of mental health, right? Making sure that the work we do with the organizations that we work with, whether that's an organization like Co-op or whether that's a smaller organization, it has to be data-driven, right? Because in my experience, there's been a lot of guesswork when it comes to mental health in the workplace. Should we have mental health first aiders? I don't know. Should we do this on financial well-being? Should we do this on sleep? Why don't we do this on the menopause, right? And we're always coming up with these ideas. However, we haven't got the data to kind of back up whether that's going to be successful or not. So we're guessing what our employees want, we're throwing mud at a wall and hoping that it sticks, we're spending money, and then that money isn't stretching to where we want it to go, and then we're out of budget, we don't know what to do, right? And it's that constant loop that we're in. So it's about making sure that we have that data, and that's simply what engagement surveys can do. It can give us that data that we potentially might be needing. Now, engagement surveys, there's many different ways of doing them. There's the old school traditional way of doing them, whether that's quarterly, whether that's monthly, whether that's annually. But in my opinion, I wouldn't say that's the most beneficial way of doing it, because if you're just doing a quarterly survey, it depends on the time you send it, right? It depends on how the person's feeling at that time. Is it a busy period at work? How much does that influence their sort of the answers that they give? So yes, engagement surveys are key, but what we do and what we advise is we run sessions, so virtual sessions, in-person sessions that talk about mental health, that talk about well-being, but interact with the audience in an anonymous way. We use technology to be able to provide them with the option to vote during the session itself. And what that brings is answers coming in, colleagues sharing anonymously and it appearing on the session itself. And that encourages more conversations verbally as well between employees too. But then what we can do is we can take that data, we can look at where do employees need more support, we can look at more information around who's potentially struggling with mental health as well, what their biggest challenges are, what the organization can do differently, and we look at that with our business psychologists, and then what we start to do is provide that data back to you, right? So there's ways of creating data and insight during virtual sessions that are more interactive with the employees. And then finally, we of course have our app. Our app is anonymous, it's a way of tailoring support in their pocket via our app itself, but then what that's doing is driving data. It's driving anonymized data back to you as a business to show you where your employees need a little bit more support. So I think there's so many different ways of getting data right now, so many different ways of getting insight. Making sure it's anonymous is really, really important, because people might not feel comfortable to share how they're truly feeling with you as a business, right? Apologies for my team swing going off there. But when it comes down to it, it's about trying to pull as much data as you possibly can.